Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a really easy necklace and pair of earrings today, and I'm going to use some of the beads that came in my most recent GGC's treasure bag. I received the one called Festive. This is not a subscription that you can sign up for. She just puts these bags out once every other month or so, and there's only a limited number of them. And they are so full of so many beautiful beads and findings, and they are such a tremendous value that they always sell out really quickly. So if you think you might want one in the future, the best thing to do would be to go to her website and get on her email notification list, and that way when she's ready to release her next bags, she'll send you an email and let you know so you can be ready and hopefully get yourself one if you want one. I'll put a link to her website in the description box below in case you want to do that. I'm going to be using these 6mm round old lace glass pearl beads that came in the bag. I'm going to be using these green lantern shaped beads that came in the bag. I'm going to be using these 7x6mm red barrel faceted glass beads that came in the bag, and they are so sparkly and shiny. I just can't stand how pretty they are. And in here I have the 31x28x9mm red faceted glass and brass heart pendant that I'm going to use. And I've already attached it to this tiny little bitty bell bead that I had left over from one of my previous GGC treasure bags, and I just attached it with a 6mm jump ring there. And here I've got some bead caps from my stash. I've got some findings in here. I've got a lobster clasp, a cup that came in the bag, a couple of pieces of the chain that came in the bag. I've got a little piece of extender chain in there from my stash. I've got two 2x2 crimp tubes, 2 wire guardians, and 2 crimp covers. I've got some 4mm jump rings and one 8mm jump ring that I'm going to use for my lobster to clasp onto. And I've got one of the little green lantern shaped beads and a ball head pin that I'm going to use to make a dangle to hang off my extender chain. I think that's everything in there. This one I'm using for my earrings. I'm going to use 2 of the barrel beads, 2 of the green beads, 2 of the white beads. I'll have 4 bead caps in there. I've got a couple of eye pins and a couple of ball head pins and a couple of ear wires. I think that's everything in there. And I've got some 11-0 Durcoat galvanized gold seed beads I'm going to use to space out the beads. I'm going to be using my soft flex beading wire and fine. This is 21 strand, and this is copper. I don't have any gold, but it won't matter once I get all the beads on there. You won't be able to see the color of the wire anyway. I've got my bead stopper, and I'm using all my same jewelry tools that I always use. And I've got my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in. When I cut them off, I'll just be doing that when I make the earrings. So I think that's everything. So hold on, I get some of this out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and string up the necklace so that you all don't have to wait while I string all these tiny little beads. And when I come back, I'll show you what my pattern is, and I'll crimp it. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got my necklace all strung up here now. And I've got, you zoom in here. I've got 11-0 seed beads between all the beads. And then I've got a green bead, a white bead, a green bead, 3 of the red barrel beads, a green bead, a white bead, a green bead, 5 of the red barrel beads, a green bead, a white bead, a green bead, 3 of the red barrel beads, a green bead, a white bead, a green bead, and then I've got my pendants, my veil strung on here, and then I've got the same thing on the other side. So that's what my pattern is. So now I'm going to crimp it. I'm going to take my crimp tube, put it on here, one of my wire guardians, go into one channel of the wire guardian, I can't get it turned around in my hand here. And then I'm going to go down the other channel of the wire guardian. And back into the crimp tube. I'm going to hold my wires apart so that they're not crossed in there. Pull my wire down until there's nothing sticking out of my little wire guardian up here. I'm going to try to hold these apart. And I'm going to take these crimping pliers and I'm going to use that part there that has the tooth. And I'm going to lay the tooth on top of my crimp tube. Squeeze. And that didn't crimp right. That happens to me all the time. I'm going to try to open it back up and crimp it. So I'm going to lay my crimp on there, or my tooth on top of the crimp tube. Squeeze. Okay, it worked right that time. That puts each little wire in its own channel there. Makes that little dent in the middle. Now I like to use these crimping pliers to fold my crimp. I use the little half circles at each end. Of course, you can use these. There's half circles at the top of this, and you would go into that middle one for the 2x2 crimp tubes, but I just find it easier to use these, I think, because the little half circles on these are bigger. So I'm going to lay my crimp in there and squeeze. Give it a good tight squeeze. And then I'm going to tug. And that's good. So now I'm going to use my cutters that I use for bead stringing wire and cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to push all this down and crimp the other side. Push all this down and cut it off my spool. And I like to coil it up like this when I crimp this other side, because you want to make sure not to get crimp it too tight, and if I leave it coiled up like that, it usually keeps it from being too tight. Now I'm going to put my other crimp tube on and my other wire guardian. Go down the other channel of the wire guardian. Back into the crimp tube. Make sure my wires are not crossed in there. And I like to go through a bead on this side to get my hands out of the way when I'm trying to crimp, and to center my wire guardian over the last bead there. So I'm going to hold on to my wire guardian and pull the wire through. Now I'm just going to look and make sure there's no slack in my piece. But like I said, I don't want it to be too tight either. Make sure all my little bead caps are in place like they're supposed to be, and I think they are. So I'm going to try to hold on to all of this. I'll take my crimping pliers and use that part with the tooth again. Lay the tooth on top, squeeze. Now I'm going to take these other crimping pliers and fold my crimp. Give it a good tight squeeze. And now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. So that's what I've got now. So hold on, let me get my crimp covers and I'll put those on. That's always the hardest part for me. But hold on, I'll be back. Okay, I've got one of my crimp covers on one side. Now I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to take my crimp cover and lay it over my crimp tube there. I'm going to take my crimp cover closing pliers here, and I'm going to close it very easily or very slowly and gently. I want to get it closed enough that it'll stay on there without me holding it. Like that. Now I'm going to go on that part there that has the half circles and lay it in there and start closing it some more. And I do this very slowly because if I don't, I mangle the whole thing. And I just go around. Now I'm going to go front to back. Squeeze it a little bit. And then go to the side and squeeze it. I'm just going to keep doing that, going back and forth until I get it closed all the way. Okay. So, got that side on now. So now I'm going to get the rest of my findings here and put these on. I don't think I need to be zoomed in so far for this. I've got a couple of pieces of chain, the chain that came in the bag. And when I measured this, it was about 15 inches. So my little pieces of chain are about 3 inches each. And I'm going to take a 4mm jump ring. And open it up here and put on one of my chains on one side of one of my pieces of chain on one side of my necklace. Close my jump ring back really well. I'm going to take another 4mm jump ring. Open it up and put my other piece of chain on the other side. Close my jump ring back really well. Okay, now I'm going to take another 4mm jump ring. And open it up. And put on my lobster clasp. And put it on this end of my chain. Close the jump ring back really well. And now I'm going to take this 8mm jump ring and open it up. And put it on this side of my chain. I was going to get through that without dropping something, but I rarely ever do, and there you go, I dropped it twice. And then I have a little piece of extender. Well, okay. I'm going to try to hold this with my heavier pliers. Maybe I can hold on to it. Then I have a little piece of extender chain here. It's about 2 inches long. So I'll close my jump ring back really well. So that's what I've got now. So now I'm going to make my little dangle to go on my extender chain. So I've got a ball head pin here and one of the little green beads. I'm going to take my pliers and go to the very tip of the pliers Bend the wire over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under until it hits the bottom of the tool. Kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. Now I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. I'm going to bring this wire down. And I almost forgot to open my loop and thread on my little extender chain. I forget that a lot. End up having to attach it with a jump ring. Now I'm going to close my loop back again. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Try to hold this chain back out of the way. Bring this wire down. I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Just going to wrap till there's no more room to wrap. I don't think I did that very well. I didn't get that top part started hardly right. I'm not very good at wrapping things to things. Probably should have just attached it with a jump ring because there we go. And now I'm going to take my cutters, and these are the cutters I use for craft wire and head pins and eye pins. I know they look the same. They're the same brand and all, but I have a different pair of cutters for craft wire and head pins and eye pins. You don't want to use your same cutters. If you do, they'll get so dull they won't cut your bead stringing wire. I'm going to cut off my extra wire. And then I like to use these crimping pliers with the half circles at each end to tuck in the burrs when I cut off wire. So there's my little dangle. And there's my necklace. So hold on, I'll get my stuff together and I'll make a little earring here. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to make a little earring now. So I've got a ball head pin here. And I'm going to put on a bead cap and my barrel bead and a bead cap. And I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers. Bend the wire over at a 90-degree angle. Take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take the short piece of wire under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the bead. Like that. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this wire down. My other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. Just make sure to get that first wrapping under the bottom of the loop and not over the top of the bottom of the loop like I have done many times. Okay, now I'm going to take my cutters. Cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and tuck in my little burr. I'm going to take my eye pin and open the eye of the eye pin. And thread on this little dangle that I've made. And close the eye of the eye pin back. Now I'm going to take my white bead, put it on here, take my pliers, and I'm going to make a simple loop here. So I'm going to go a little bit above the bead so that I don't crack my bead. Bend the wire over to a 90-degree angle. Take my cutters and cut off, leaving about 1/4 of an inch of the pin on this side. You always make sure to hold your finger over this wire when you're cutting it off so that it doesn't fly and hit you in the eye. Now I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to go to the very end here, make sure there's no wire sticking out on this side. And I like to go pretty far down on the barrel and start my loop. And then I go to the tip and finish my loop. Just keep rolling until it's closed. And my loops are never facing the same way when I get done with this, so I always have to take 2 pairs of pliers and turn them so that they're facing the same way. I don't know why I can't get them to face the same way. I just don't seem to be able to do that. Now I'm going to take this piece of pin that I have left here and make an eye pin out of it. So I'm going to go down a little bit here, probably a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. Bend the wire over at a 90-degree angle. And then I'm going to take my cutters and cut off, leaving 1/4 of an inch of the pin. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and roll back a loop just like I did before. Now I'm going to open this eye that I just made and thread on the part of my earring I've already got done here. And close the eye back. Now I'm going to take my little green bead and put it on here. And I'm going to make another simple loop. Take my pliers, go a little bit above the bead so I don't crack my bead. Bend the wire over. Take my cutters and cut off, leaving about 1/4 of an inch of the pin. Take my round nose pliers and roll back a loop. My loops are almost facing the same way that time, but not hardly. Now I'm going to open this loop and close it again to get it closed really well. And now I'm just going to take my ear wire, open this loop, open the loop here, thread on my ear wire, close the loop back. So there's my little earring. So I'm going to make the other one off camera, and then I'll come back and I'll have it all laid out and we can look and see what I've got. So I'll be back. Okay, there's my really easy necklace and pair of earrings made with some of the beads and bindings that came in my most recent GGC's treasure bag. Like I said, her bags are always just so beautiful and such a great value that they always sell out really, really quickly. So it would be a good idea for you to go to her website and get on her email notification list if you think you might want to get one in the future. And I'll leave a link to her website in the description box below. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.